Peace and welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Folks, we got a lot to talk about. We're keeping our eyes out down in Georgia as the District Attorney Fani Willis is on trial, and it's going to be determined whether she will be disqualified for prosecuting the case against former President Donald Trump for the election interference. So we'll keep our eyes on that. But today we're going to talk about the possibility of another candidate coming in from the third party side. Senator Joe Manchin of the West Virginia is considering a run for president, and he's looking at Mitt Romney as a potential vice president candidate. We'll talk a little bit about that. Also, there's a new report that shows that there's an effect of police violence on Black health. And we'll also talk a little bit about the broken heart condition with one of our contributors, Dr. Toomer. Later on, our workplace romance is worth it. Looking at what happened in Fani Willis, we're going to check in with Coach Trinette Collier-Green to get the latest on this, like how those little trysts can turn into potential trouble. So we'll talk about that and so much more. Stay with us. It's all happening on today's edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. All right, folks, welcome to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and, of course, being a part of the conversation, because like no other space online, folks, you are actually a part of the conversation. You're my guest as well. So we have these discussions. I hear from you. You can tune in and comment and share your thoughts and questions, and we'll get to those in a few moments. But let's talk a little bit about some of the things that are happening. But first, we got to let you know that we're streaming right now on blackstarnetwork.com. Download the app for free. Follow us on social media at Black Star Network. And of course, we ask you to give something to help us to continue to power through this movement. We're looking for investors and stakeholders and folks like you who are willing to put their money where their mouth is. And for all of you who have already done that, I can't thank you enough. We can't thank you enough for your donation. So again, go to our website today for the latest details and all the information at blackstarnetwork.com. Also, we're streaming live on Amazon platforms, on Amazon News, on Fire TV. You can check us out there. Or we're also streaming on Amazon Prime Video, where you can check us out there under Live TV, The News, or find us on Amazon.com under Prime Video, then Live TV, The News. We're also on the Freevee Network, where we're on now under News for Black Star Network, and we're on Plex TV 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just search for Black Star Network or find us under Live TV, The News, and Opinions. Now, we're also streaming, folks, on Roland Martin's, Big Brother Roland Martin's social media platform on his Facebook page, so check us out there. Big shout out to the crew on the Facebook page. Big shout out to the crew on the X platform. Let's get a little, there we go. Let's get them horns. And big shout out to the crew that's gathering in the chat on Roland Martin's YouTube channel. And folks, you can do the same. Just check us out on Facebook, on YouTube. Post your comments. We'll get to those comments as many as possible as we have these discussions. And I definitely want to hear from you. Let me see who's in the chat right now. See which person is not watching Fani Willis being streamed on Black Star Network and on Roland Martin social media. The Apex Girl, Damon Blissett, I see you. Pauline Hunt, I see you. Tiana, I see you. Who else we got? Arlene Starks. I see you, Arlene. T. Cannon. Hello to you, T. Cannon. Thank you for joining us. Who else? Official Sanika. I see you. Big Brother Willie Frazier's doing its thing. Duh-oh is in the building. I hear that. Deidre Hall, I see you. Man, make sure y'all do your due diligence when you come into the chat. Make sure you hit that thumbs up and get them algorithms working on our behalf. But we truly appreciate y'all for joining me today. All right, let's talk about it again, folks. We're actually doing some different streams. Like if you go onto Roland Martin's YouTube channel, you'll find that we're streaming now the proceedings, the hearing under for the District Attorney Fani Willis. She is sitting down. This is live of what's happening in Georgia right now. And she looks pretty confident. It's interesting. Can we get some sound on? Let me ask my team, can we get some sound on? Just a little buzz. You can take me out the shot. Let's see what she has to say as she's talking.
February 2022, is that what you said? January I believe it is January, but I I paid her half the rent of February of 22 is what I remember, and because I was offering to pay the whole rent even though I didn't live there, I didn't think it was right, and I didn't. I ended up just paying her half the rent.
So that's after you moved out. You said
Yes,
you
ma'am.
paid her half of that. Okay. And the time that you said you had to move out of your house because you were scared, did your dad stay there at your house?
I was. My father was concerned. Yes, we were both concerned.
Okay, but he remained there.
My father was 80 years old. He would have been 79. He was scared to death of COVID. You have to go back to when this was. My father's an older man. I wanted him to move out. We had some discussions about him moving out, and what he decided was the risk of COVID was more dangerous than the risk of the people that were threatening. Typical man, more worried about his daughter and his grandchildren than his own safety. You'll get to meet him and you'll understand he doesn't scare too easily.
So your grandkids or his grandkids were living at the house as well at that time?
Well, I don't know how old your children are, but when you have adult children, they leave and they come back. They leave and they come back. So there have been periods of time that they're there, they come, they do whatever they want to do. Children do what children do. As long as their mother has a house, they'll come to it. Unfortunately, now the threats because of this case have gotten so extreme. I just pay a mortgage and no one lives there.
And that's what I was going to ask you. So when you moved out in, I think you said April 2021, you left your dad and your two kids at the house?
My dad and my two kids were not at the house.
They were not. Okay, so they didn't still live at your house.
My youngest daughter certainly did not live there.
Okay.
My oldest daughter would come back and forth. I can't say month for month when she was there or when she was not there. I know that she has been there post me moving out. At this time, no one is at my house.
So at some point after you moved out for the safety reasons, at least one of your children did come
Ms.
back.
Manchin, can we get to either the
Yeah.
relationship or the
Sure.
financial benefit?
Yes. Let's see, we were back at 2021. So you were still friends with Miss Yeardy then. Were you also friends with Mr. Bradley?
I've never been friends with Mr. Bradley.
You've never been friends with Mr. Bradley?
No, I don't consider us to be friends. I don't dislike Mr. Bradley, but I don't consider us to be friends.
Is he someone that you would have in your phone and you would message with?
I might have text messaged him.
Okay. Would you text message him and Mr. Wade on the same conversations?
I don't recall doing that, but if it happened, it wouldn't surprise me.
Okay, so that wouldn't surprise you, the three of you. Okay. How frequently would you think that the three of you would have texted?
Not very. I wouldn't think very often, but you're asking me to recall. I don't even know what time period you're asking me to recall, but I'm not going to speak to that because I just really don't know the answer to that. So I don't want to speculate as to how often that would happen. But it's not out of my practice to text two people on one text message. So if you told me that happened and showed it to me, it wouldn't surprise me, although I have no recollection of it.
But there would be some record of it in your phone, or the phone records would have some record of those texts.
Perhaps.
Talk about, you said that sometimes you paid Miss Yeardy cash.
I don't
When
think
you
I-
went,
I'm sorry.
sorry, when you went on vacation with Mr. Wade, let's just go one by one. Let's start with the first one. What's the first time you went on vacation with Mr. Wade?
I think the first time we went on vacation was around April of 22, and it's a vacation is a stretch, but I'm trying to be comprehensive. I recall April of 22. His birthday is March the 18th. So that would have been his 49th birthday. I took him to like Tennessee for the day. I think we went to a museum. I think we might have stayed the night. I'm not sure, but I mean, Tennessee's kind of hard to call a vacation, but I just am trying to be inclusive. And it, like I said, I know it wasn't more than a day.
You didn't spend the night.
I think that we did. That's what I'm telling you. I think that there's a possibility that we stayed that night in April of 22.
Who paid for the hotel?
I think I did. It was his birthday.
And would you have used a credit card?
Probably maybe a debit.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. This is an opportunity for us to be able to speak to our issues. Y'all better understand something real quick. We ain't going nowhere. It is a continual battle that we see all across this country. Revolution will not be televised. The revolution will be streamed.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
He makes sure that our stories are told.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
Check this out. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are investing a record $7 billion into HBCUs. Billions for campus improvements, grants, and debt relief. Billions more for HBCUs. Endless possibilities for us.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home. You dig? When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, now we're back. All right, welcome back to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Had to get through that little sound bump. All right, but we are back. Let's talk a little bit about, just very quickly, I wanted to show that to you. That is happening as we speak, talking about the case of District Attorney Fani Willis. That is being streamed right now. You can check it out at Big Brother Roland's, social media pages, on his YouTube chat. Go check us out on Black Star Network. But this is interesting. This is very, very interesting. And I know that who we have here. You don't like my music. You pointed out something. I just want to kind of get a couple of your comments very quickly. You don't like my music. You said this is such a distraction. It is, and it may not be. I don't know, depending on how deep the rabbit hole goes in terms of this situation, and more importantly, the impact, the implications of it. But I don't think it should take away. I think that this situation is separate from what Donald Trump has done. That doesn't take away from that. But so to your point, it is a distraction from that, like as if the ruling on Donald Trump's case was impacted by her personal business. No, it was not. It was not. That is just added to that situation. It just added to that situation. Jean-Pierre, you said, sadly, I have a feeling that she will step down from this case and another prosecutor will take over the case. And this might go into next year. Wow. Wow. I hope that's not the case. I hope that's not the case. But that's a very real concern, Jean-Pierre. Cindy D, my sister, I didn't forget about you, Cindy, but you asked the question, will the case go away? That's the issue. No, it won't go away. That is not the issue. So it will not go away. So we will see how it will go. T. Cannon, you said, my only prayer throughout all of this is that the crook Donald Trump goes down one way or the other. I don't care. It's a shame why they're doing this to that lady, and they only doing it because of Donald Trump. with or without Fannie. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It is a shame that it got to this place. It is a shame that it kind of takes us off away from the situation, but it's another hard lesson. It's another hard lesson that when you're in these type of moments, when you're dealing with these type of folks, when you are where the stakes are so high, and you heard in her testimony just how far she had to rearrange her life just because of the threats and the extreme nature of the threats, that she said, I just pay for a mortgage, but I don't actually stay there in my home. I don't know if anybody can imagine that, right? And I certainly couldn't, paying for a place that I can't even stay in. Your children can't come through, and or your family is so on edge because of the threats, because people are trying to hurt you. They're trying to harm your family members. I mean, that has to be just absolutely just tragic and so much to take in and trying to process. So I don't want to see our sister go through that. I definitely don't. But it is crazy. It is crazy. This, we, of course, we're not talking about this today. I would just advise and encourage you, join into Roland Martin Unfiltered tonight. There's going to be a lot of analysis, a lot of conversation about this case and what happened today. Tomorrow, we'll do our due diligence here on the show. Bringing my sisters. I got my sister Corinna, my sister Kimberly Morrow. So we'll do our due diligence and try to put some context and look at, what the final decision will be around this case, and more importantly, the impact of the final judgment on this case. But keep watching it, check us out, and then just, stay tuned to what we have to say on the other side. Look, we got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's talk to Dr. Toomer. Let's talk about health. Let's talk about wellness and so much more. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture. Weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punching!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation that's been streaming live on blackstarnetwork.com. We're also streaming on Big Brother Roland Martin's social media pages. So if you are, check us out on Facebook and on YouTube, you can find us there. So big shout out to all of the crew that's gathered on those spaces, as well as the X platform. We would love to hear from you from all those different places. So make sure you post your comments, share your thoughts, ask any questions as we have these discussions. All right, folks. Kind of shifting gears a little bit. Just shifting gears. Let's talk a little bit about health and wellness, and more importantly, talking about how we can stay healthy, considering there's so many things that's coming at us right now, so much to consider. And let me just say this, that there's a time of year, I remember reading about this during the election season, either 2 years ago or 4 years ago. But they talked about that when there are high stakes elections around, people's, anxiety, depression, all types of stuff comes up. So we gotta address all of these things, especially as we get closer to November. We got to address all of these things because I don't want anyone to just lose their mind as a result of all the stuff that we've been just discussing, or you feeling like the world is coming to an end and all of these things. I want you to walk away from these shows and this broadcast feeling empowered, not disempowered. All right, so first up, let's check in with my sister, Dr. Toomer, who has joined us before. Dr. Toomer, thank you so much for being with us again here on The Culture. How are you this afternoon?
I am well, thank you.
Good. Doc, there are two things that I wanted to get your take on. Mm-hmm. The first thing is this recent report that came out. This actually came out at the beginning of the month, and I didn't find anyone actually discussing it, which is this report around the effects of police violence on Black America's health is documented in two new studies. They found that there was a pattern of sleep disturbances, particularly getting less than 6 hours of sleep in Black people, but not among white people, in the 6 months following a police-involved shooting. This is coming from the Associated Press, but they're talking about a report that came out as a result of 3 editors of the JAMA Internal Medicine, where they wrote an editorial published a couple of weeks ago with this study. And they said the health effects of police violence on Black people need to be documented as a critical first step to reduce these harms. Let me just share just a little bit about what this report says, and then I'll get your take on it, Doc.
Okay.
Let's show quote 1 on this, please, Lee. It says, for the sleep study, researchers looked at responses from more than 2 million people from 2013 through 2019 in 2 large government surveys. They focused on people's reports of sleep in the months following police-involved killings of unarmed Black people. Now, let's take a look at the second quote. They found a pattern of sleep disturbances, particularly getting less than 6 hours of sleep in Black people in the 6 months following a police-involved killing. All right. And then let's go to the next one. For more prominent police-involved deaths, those deaths that we see on the news or social media, there was an 11.4% increase in reporting very short sleep compared with the average for all Black survey respondents. For deaths, whether prominent or not, that happened in the same state as the survey responded, the effect was a 6.5% increase. Dr. Toomer, why is this important for us to even measure, for us to even take note of? Why is it important for us to even have a discussion about?
Well, for one is any effect of stress kills. And so wondering what it does to our community is an important study to have. The other is it also lends itself to understanding that when something happens in our community, it's not just the individual, it affects us all. And so these type of studies kind of lend that, drive that home, that it's just not a matter of it only affecting the individuals involved, but all of us who are observing also are affected.
And this is interesting because this is a report, Doc, that studies sleep patterns, right? And culturally, I think this is something that as I was reading this about some of the takeaways from this study, and then thinking about the cultural conversation about sleep and our view of sleep. Sleep is often seen as a weakness. If you're going to sleep nowadays, then that must mean that you're not working hard enough. You're not grinding. You're not hustling hard enough, right? So sleep is kind of frowned upon. But in this survey, they're saying that we're not getting sleep because we're disturbed. Like these things are coming into our heads. How important is sleep? What do we need to do culturally to change the conversation around sleep?
Well, what we need to do is recognize, one, educate ourselves. I think that there's a reason that executives or people in high power, high stress jobs tend to die younger or have higher rates of heart attack, higher rates of suicide, higher rates of cancer and other diseases, chronic diseases. So, they're all connected. And so what happens when we're asleep, it's rest and restore. We have two sets of the way our body functions. We've got fight or flight, which we need to protect ourselves in a situation where we are under attack. And then we have our rest and restore, which happens during our sleep. It's to restore ourselves, restore our energy, restore. And if we don't get enough of it, none of that gets restored. We're already in a heightened state of fight or flight anyway, just being Black in America. So, you add not sleeping on top of that, and it just really just starts this vicious cycle of illness, chronic illness, and not time to recover from any of the things, the assaults we experience throughout the day.
Are you surprised that this is affecting Black people the way it is affecting Black people more than white people in this country? Because it's not, it's even, and I don't want us to assume that just because you're white, your world is perfect, things are working out for you. But are you surprised that you're saying you're not surprised?
I'm not surprised, partly because we're socialized as a collective, and we see ourselves as a collective. For the most part, when something happens, like I said, to one of us, it happens to us all. We're all very concerned. I mean, we all do this. You hear about a crime, you hear about something, and the first thing you think is, please don't let it be one of us.
Right.
We do that. And I don't know how many other, I can't speak for other cultures. They may do the same, but from my experience, I don't see that same level of the way we take on the responsibilities of all of us from the diaspora. And I don't see that much in other cultures.
Absolutely. Tiz, you checked in and said, and welcome to the chat once again, Tiz. You said, I strive on getting good quality of sleep no matter what's going on, but I also work out a lot. So this helps me sleep pretty good. And so, it didn't talk about it in the report, but that we may need to consider some alternatives to help us get a better, to be able, to get more sleep. Is that something that you think would work?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm a certified hypnotherapist, and part of the reason why I was drawn to it was so that because what hypnotherapy is deep relaxation. That's really all it is right. Deep relaxation, and deep relaxation lends itself to stress reduction and sleep improvement. So often, if I can't sleep, that's the first thing I do is I just start listening to a hypnotherapy session to put me to sleep, or meditation, or prayer. Prayer is a form of meditation. Meditation is a form of prayer, however, which way you want to look at it. And so anything that brings the stress hormones down and increases anything that helps us stay calm is beneficial.
Absolutely. My final question on this, Dr. Toomer, and then we're going to take a quick pause. But my question is, what would you recommend that we do as a people and as a community of folks? Because, when I think about the exposure to police brutality, when I think about the exposure to things that are happening in our community that could keep us up at night subconsciously, But how we as Black folks, we send it, we share it, we retweet it, we do all of those things, right? We put that into the timelines, into circulation of our thought process. So is it time for us to stop doing that at this point? Because we are doing just as much harm to ourselves as other folks are.
For us, we see it as sharing something that other people need to know. And we think that what it does is it seeps into their consciousness and then they'll be outraged. The only people who are harmed by this are us. For everyone else, it's a form of trauma porn. I mean, to not put it in a better term. And so when seeing Black people being injured is a form of entertainment for other people except us. It does not do what we think it's doing. It's not educating in the way we think it's educating. So we can talk about things without showing the images. We can talk about things about how we can change it rather than just complain about it. And that, so that's an important thing for us to do. I know it's hard because we're in this time where we just share everything and we show images, but really those images are very damaging and they do not educate in the way that we need them to.
I will never forget, Doc, seeing Rodney King, seeing him being beat down.
That's when it started.
I was like a teenager. I was a teenager, and I never forget seeing it. I never forget. It made such an indelible impression on my brain that I have never seen that. Like, it stuck out for me. Like, this Black man is getting beat down on the side of a California highway, and nobody is stopping, and we just get, and it just blew me away.
Because it wasn't just the imaging; it was the imaging because it was the first time we'd ever seen anything like that on television.
Right.
Now it's like a daily occurrence. We see people being killed on TV. Being images of people being, lives being taken away, and those images, and it's numbing people. It's almost to the point where you read, even like now, what's going on in the Middle East, you read, 1,000 people were killed, children were killed today, and people just read it and flip. I'm like, think about what 1,000 people are.
And you remember, Doc, at the beginning, I know we got to take a quick pause, but remember at the beginning of that attack, then once Israel responded to Hamas and all of that, and then we started to see social media being flooded with all these images of dead children and bodies and all of those things, right? And of course, it's not police brutality, but it does speak to the oppressive nature of systems and policing and all of those things. And it's like, after a while, to your point, I think it becomes hard for people to feel. It becomes this thing where we're so numb that it's just like, it's like we're even asking for it. So if we come onto this show and I describe a scene from a horrific experience, or a beating or a shooting or some sort of killing, I will literally get some people to say, well, do you have the video?
Yeah. And unfortunately, we are in an age where it's like, we need proof. However, they're given AI, given all the other things and all the editing that can be done, you can't even trust those really. And in fact, they're true. Obviously, we know many of them are true. The problem we run into is that we also have a genetic component. We have a genetic reaction to trauma.
Yeah.
So when we see images, it's not just our eyes, it's not just our fight or flight reaction. It's also what has been passed on in our DNA from the trauma of centuries. Yeah. And so we react differently. Our flight, our cortisol, our hormonal reaction to situations is heightened simply because of our DNA.
Jeez. Wow. That is that packs a lot of punch, because if our DNA is interrupted or it is compromised because of trauma, then the way we see the world, how our body responds to it will follow. Man, that's heavy.
So
that
if anyone,
is heavy, Dr. Tuma.
It's called epigenetics. They can look it up.
Epigenetics. Yes, ma'am. Look, we got to take a quick pause when we come forward. Let's switch gears just a little bit. As we talk about trauma, let's talk about a broken heart. And Dr. Tuma gives us a little bit of insight into this condition. It's not just some metaphorical thing, folks. It actually is a real life condition where a person can suffer from a broken heart. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. So stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Check this out. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are investing a record $7 billion into HBCUs. Billions for campus improvements, grants, and debt relief. Billions more for HBCUs. Endless possibilities for us.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in. As we've been having a conversation, we started off this conversation about health and wellness based on a new report, 2 new reports that show that police brutality and taking in the images and seeing videos of police brutality has affected the sleep of so many Black people in this country. Well, folks, that's not the only thing that can affect us. As we talk a little bit about the importance of sleep, let's also talk about how our heart takes on situations of life, the ups and downs of life. And so many times you might have heard this, I'm sure many of us heard of this condition where somebody might say, oh my gosh, this person is suffering from a broken heart. Well, folks, this is not just some made up condition. This is very, very real. And here to join us and talk to us about this is physician and hypnotherapist, Dr. Tuma, to talk a little bit about the importance and really how we can prevent from suffering from a broken heart. This is, when I first heard about this, Dr. Tuma, I thought to myself, like, really? You can really like die as a result of a broken heart. What is that condition specifically? What does that entail?
So there are, and unfortunately, of course, my brain is like, there's a Japanese name attached to it. However, what the physiology behind it is, it's just a stress reaction. So what happens when we're under stress or when we're under any type of stress, emotional stress, physical stress, and our blood vessels tighten. There's a hormone that goes up in our system. Well, 3: cortisol, epinephrine, and norepinephrine. Those are our fight or flight hormones. They're good if you need to fight in the immediate, but if they stay high long term, if it becomes chronic, what that does, part of what they do is they shut down small vessels. Our heart survives on small vessels. So when those vessels get shut down, then our heart does not get enough oxygen, and anything in our body that doesn't get enough oxygen dies.
So what's generally the cause of that? Is it just stress? Is it trauma? What's the cause of your heart getting to that place?
All of the above. It's really just a matter of what your body does in the face of trauma, in the face of adversity. So chronic stress generally occurs when our coping mechanisms can't match the unexpected things that happen. And so if that happens over and over and over again, or you feel like you have no control, so everything that happens feels like it's unexpected and it's overwhelming, then that's just constant hormonal attacks on the body. And the only way to protect yourself is to reverse it. There are several ways. The most immediate way of reversing it is with medication. Then counseling is another. Learning biofeedback, deep yoga breathing, deep meditative breathing, meditation, even yoga itself, Tai Chi, some type of rhythmic movement, or lending yourself to things that you really enjoy that bring out the happy hormones, your hobbies, your family, people you love, activities you love. But our body really, we're rhythmic animals. And so if we do, low impact, constant rhythmic activity like walking, dancing, those things also lend themselves to, dropping those hormones. And so, but it has to be done. It has to be active. It has to be intentional. It can't be by accident. It's just as important that people, when they want to be healthy, they eat a certain way or they start to exercise. The brain needs to be exercised as well. And it gets better and better the more we exercise it.
All right. So what I'm hearing from you, Dr. Toomer, is I'm hearing from you that we know that stress and trauma and the down parts of life can really affect your body. It can affect your mind. It can affect your heart, your body, your spirit. We know that.
Yeah.
One of the things, though, I don't think that we know all the way or fully is how to really handle that, right? I mean, we certainly have been talking about emotional intelligence, right? We talk about those things, about how to the best ways to pick yourself up and all of these kind of more anecdotal, I think, solutions.
Yes.
But when you're talking about how to handle stress, how to handle trauma, I think if you were to ask anybody that's watching this show, how do they do it? You probably get 1,000 different answers.
Yes, but they all do the same thing. They raise your dopamine and drop your cortisol. And it's just for every.
But even with that, though, and I guess that's the question, Doc. Like even with that, there's a healthy way of doing that, and then there's an unhealthy way of doing that. Because some ways that if whatever your
drugs are
vice
an unhealthy way of doing it.
Right.
Well, illicit drugs are an unhealthy way of doing it. Prescribed drugs are a way that can be done. It can be used also. I think that being tested to see how much damage is being done, knowing it's one thing to prevent, but there's also, you need to stop something, while it's happening. And like I said, there's immediate ways of stopping things and there's long-term ways of stopping things. And you go after the immediate first, just so that, it's sort of like what I say, it's like pushing a boulder up a hill. It's like, if you have a way of pulling it up a hill with a pulley or a tractor, do that first. Once it's up there and you're sure it's not going to roll back down the hill, then you can start working on other stuff. But the most immediate thing is to do what's necessary to stop it. And there's lots of different ways to do that. But one is to admit that there's a problem and then getting help for that problem. And that's also making your physicians recognize that there's a problem, because part of the issue we run into is the bias and prejudice in medicine as well. We work in an apprentice system. We learn from the people before us. So if those people before us have prejudices and bias, they get passed on to the people they're training. And so it's really important then to make your physicians listen, make them listen. And don't let them wish away your pathology.
That's some great. That's some good advice right there. And Doc, talk to us like if an individual does not have a family physician, if they don't have a doctor, because we know that a lot of Americans in this country, the access to healthcare is contingent upon a lot of other factors. So if they don't have that person in their life, in their network, what should they do?
All right. Well, what they should do is find a community health center. One of the things that I've done from the time I graduated from medical school is work with the underserved or the under insured or the non-insured. There are places in this country where you can get health care based on a sliding scale. It's you pay based on your income. And so you can see a physician whether you have insurance or not, and it's based on your income. And these are physicians who are trained, often taking care of the sickest of the sick. And so, they will help you. I was one of those doctors for many, many years. And and you can find the centers on websites. Health and Human Services has a website or sites where you can go and find where they are in your area.
Wow. That's wonderful to know. That is wonderful to know. And it's interesting because we're taking on the burden of all of this. We talked about police violence and the impact of that. We're talking about the impact of stress and trauma. I mean, and now we're in an election season. I started off this segment talking about the anxiety that many people are starting to feel because of a looming threat, whether you're voting or you're up for Biden, you're not for Biden, you're up for Trump or not for Trump. And there's this intensity, this probably collective anxiety that many folks in this country are feeling right now. What would you say to any one of us who are like, we don't know if we can make it through November? Hell, we don't know if we, what 2024 will bring to us.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of it has to do with distraction. I think the November elections distract us from what's really going on, in that neither one of them are a good choice for us, really. I mean, one's a one choice and a worse choice, but that's not necessarily a good choice. That doesn't necessarily mean our lives are going to change that much. Again, that's a long-term look at something that can be taken care of in the immediate. And the most important thing to do, I mean, really, you just walk around like a serenity prayer. Grant me the serenity to know the things I can change, to know the things I can't, and the wisdom to know the difference. And so some things you just can't change. And some things are going to be the same no matter who's in office. And so what you do is you learn how to change the effect of those things on you. That's the most immediate thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then it's like first you start with your environment, your immediate environment. Then the next step out is your family environment. Then the next step out is your, home community environment. Then you move out, but you start here first and then worry about what's going on the outside, not the other way around.
Essentially, you start with creating and establishing peace within and taking it out. That you can't look to other people. You can't look to other places. Peace has to start from within. You have to be settled within yourself. You have to be
not so much, but then not to blame the person, but but just to say that things are going to come at us. They always have. We come from a people who are so resilient that, these little things that are happening in life, those are new problems that would have been non-problems or nothing to who we come from. And so the main thing really is just to learn how to not let things affect you. Then you learn how to make those things change after that. But as long as they affect you, you become weakened to the ability to make it change.
Okay. I understand. Dr. Tuma, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. I know that you're doing some great work. You have, of course, you've learned traditional medicine, but now you are in the work of using holistic and alternative healing for patients. How can folks get more information about the work you're doing?
On my website, drtoomer.com. That's drtoomer.com. And I'm also on YouTube. I do a lot of educating on YouTube as well as Dr. Toomer, and they can find me those two places.
Awesome. Dr. Tuma, it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much for being with us today. We truly appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me. I enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Folks, we got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, we're going to check in with the inspirationalist, Coach Trinette Collier, as we talk about, we're seeing what's happening with this Fannie Willis case and how this case is moving forward. But I wanted to have a conversation about workplace romance. Is it even worth it? Now that we see what's going on with our sister Fannie, oh my gosh, are you rethinking? Now you gotta tell me if you got a little work husband or work wife or something like that. But are you thinking twice about making a move in the workplace? We'll have that conversation and so much more on the other side. So stay with us. The second half of the culture is coming at you right here on the Black Star Network.
Check this out. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are investing a record $7 billion into HBCUs. Billions for campus improvements, grants, and debt relief. Billions more for HBCUs. Endless possibilities for us.
I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show, Get Wealthy, focuses on the things that your financial advisor and bank isn't telling you, but you absolutely need to know. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. And we've been having some good discussions as we just checked in with Dr. Toomer, who's a hypnotherapist and physician, talking a little bit about some health and wellness things that we should keep in mind as we get through our days. Now, I'm going to check in with the inspirationalist. She is Coach Trinette Collier. She's on social media, and she provides some insight about everything from relationships to life. And we're always happy to have her. She joins me every Thursday now at 4 p.m. Eastern time to talk about some of these big hot topics, trending topics around relationships and so much more. So, Coach, welcome back. How you feeling this afternoon?
I'm good. Happy Thursday. How are you?
I'm good. Happy Thursday. We're keeping an eye out on the situation down that's happening in Georgia right now. We know that the case of our sister, District Attorney Fannie Willis, is happening. And it looks like she's still on the stand. She's been on the stand for some time.
Oh, wow.
Answering questions about the nature of her relationship with prosecutor Nathan Wade, who she brought onto the case around for the Trump interference case.
Yeah.
Breaking down everything, Coach, from timelines of when the relationship started, who started the relationship, what was the situation, like what was happening at the time, where they went. I mean, a lot of details is being brought up in this particular case, and I wanted to have the conversation. Let me see. But first, let me see if we can go into. Let's get some sound on this, please, Lee, as we hear what Fannie Willis is saying.
Paltry rate. I did have family law cases. I guess that's what they're talking about. And clients who couldn't pay their bills ain't clients. So my
question was just if this was a fair and accurate representation where it says you were trying to make it month to month at that point.
No, I don't think that is actually a fair and accurate representation, but I am certain that after the 2018 election, I'm still not really happy about having given up that $50,000.
You know when you paid your tax lien?
I don't.
You don't? You know if you paid it?
I know I've paid some taxes. I don't know. I don't want to speculate.
Did you tell anyone at Fulton County Board of County Commissioners about your relationship with Mr. Wade?
No.
Did you disclose your relationship to anybody at Fulton County?
No, I don't think so.
And as the chief law enforcement officer of Fulton County, I assume that you're familiar with the county code and ordinances?
I've said we're not going to cover that in this hearing, Ms. Manchin.
I'm sorry, Judge?
We said we weren't going to cover the county regulations.
Okay, and I won't. Let me ask you this then. So are you aware that you're required to disclose any relationship with someone that you contract with in Fulton County?
Would this be different because it's a potential for impeachment?
Yes.
What did you ask me?
Ms. Merchant, if you could re-ask the question.
Okay. Are you aware that Fulton County requires you to disclose any relationship with someone that you're doing business with?
I'm not aware, and I know often that things are confused with state constitutional officers in county, but I'm not aware.
Okay. So it's not so it's your understanding that you don't have a duty to disclose the
She's
relationship?
answered that question. Let's keep going.
Did you keep track of this cash that you paid him at all?
What are you talking? I don't understand.
Did you keep track? Did you keep a ledger? Did you keep track of it?
So I've only given him cash, as I mentioned, 3 or 4 times. There's no ledger. This is friends handing money off to each other.
So the answer is no.
I think you've already asked whether there was any written proof whatsoever. She's
Yes.
answered that.
Okay.
So we've covered this. Let's move on.
Who were you referring to when you suggested that Mr. Roman's motion to disqualify was racially motivated?
We already said we're not talking about the forensic evidence that's been alleged.
And just so the record is clear, I don't believe I said that his motion was racially motivated, so I don't want that.
Ooh. That's a lot.
Let me just say this. Let me say this. This is before we jump to the conversation. It's so funny. We both are like, whoo. Okay. If I just had I need some water or something. Chris, did y'all see that? Did y'all hear that? I'm just.
If I gotta go through all of that for a relationship,
oh my Lord. Oh my gosh.
I'm not sure about that. And
well, here's the thing, Trinette. Here's the thing about this. One is whoever this prosecutor is, whoever this lady is, she sounds like she's falling apart. She is getting. I mean, when the judge got to keep intervening, like we covered this, we keep up. Let's go, move on. We covered this. Let's move on. We already said we weren't talking about this.
Yeah.
Like you. If she's the prosecutor for the other side, then Fannie Willis has a chance.
But it seemed like she was she's confident in her answers. You think she's confident?
That's going to be up for the jury. Like it's, I don't know, Jeanette. I don't know. I don't know if she's confident. I don't know. Like now, does a person keep a ledger of money transactions between two people that are friends? Absolutely not. We don't.
Right.
Would you not know when you settled or paid the tax lien? Nobody's asking for a specific date, but would you at least give a time frame?
Right.
Maybe you should know that. I don't know. But it opens up the conversation about relationships. I want us to take a quick pause. When we come back, Coach, I want to get your take on this because asking the question, is workplace romance worth it? Is this the type of stuff that we need to have a discussion about, which I think we do in light of this particular case with District Attorney Fannie Willis and Prosecutor Nathan Wade. Stay with us, folks. The conversation continues with Coach Trinette and with you on the other side, right here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Check this out. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are investing a record $7 billion into HBCUs. Billions for campus improvements, grants, and debt relief. Billions more for HBCUs. Endless possibilities for us.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Hey, Black, I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad, joined by my sister, Coach Trinette Collier, as we talk about workplace romances. We know today, and we've been just showing you just some footage from the ongoing hearing of District Attorney Fannie Willis down in Georgia, who is on trial. And it will be determined whether she will be able to continue to do her work of prosecuting the case of former President Donald Trump in the election interference case, because now of her personal relationship with prosecutor Nathan Wade, that has gone to the forefront of this whole situation. And as you can see, the sister is going through it a little bit. Now, let me just say it. The prosecutor, the attorney for the other side, she's not the strongest attorney. I can tell that right now.
Yeah.
She don't sound like she's the strongest attorney. So I don't know if this will, I've seen senators and congressional hearings go harder. So we don't know. But it has brought up the conversation about workplace romances. And we're asking the question today, are workplace romances worth it? As considering the fact that, hey, this was a workplace romance, not even talking about the Trump case, but they ended up working. You got two people who are in the same space at the same time, working together on a case, on cases. Take it out of the legal space. You're working together. You're in the same place. You're connected together. You're spending a lot of time with one another. Feelings start to generate. Natural stuff, right, Coach? Stuff starts to happen. You feeling one way, the other person's feeling the same way, and then one thing leads to another. Next thing you know, boom, you got a whole situation.
A whole situation. Situationship.
Which I don't understand the terminology because I don't understand the difference between a relationship and a situationship. So I don't know, Coach.
Situationship is a mess.
I love that.
There is no reason why you should be in a situationship. It's a mess.
You can't, but can't you call it a relationship?
No, it's a mess. Because if you got to go through all of that, you know, I understand people in love and all of that. Don't get me wrong, but when you have to sneak around and not, let me make that clear. Sneaking around and wanting to keep your relationship low key are two different things, because we do know people are out here messy or whatnot. But if you're going to have a relationship at work, definitely you want to keep it low key. But it's that communication again. We do not have clear and effective communication on both ends. Like there has to be some type of agreement. Like, you know, and I know I was looking at some stats and they were saying like they have the love contracts now for people in workforce and workplaces from HR, like to make sure that it's consensual and that it will not affect your job and so forth. But I also believe that the conversation has to be had between you and that person, and the understanding that, hey, we're going to have this low-key relationship, continue to act like you're acting, don't flirt with nobody else, you know, try to, you know, stuff like that. Like you got to spell it out, because that's the problem. Somebody's feelings are going to get hurt because start to get invested in it, right? Unless you both are just like, okay, well, this is just a quickie. I ain't really feeling you like that. But somewhere, somehow, y'all gonna develop feelings, and it's gonna go all the way left. It's gonna go left.
Here's and I couldn't agree with you more to that. But here's the funny thing that I kind of laugh at, and I hear people say it all the time, right? Like anytime somebody says, especially if you're in the workplace, imagine y'all, crew, I want y'all to really think about this. This may have happened to some of you, so I'm not trying to make y'all feel uncomfortable. But just the simple fact of somebody assuring you with no guarantee that nothing is going to go crazy, that the situation won't go left. I mean, how many times, Jeanette, have we said to people, and I'm saying if somebody either said it to us or we've said it to somebody, look, this is going to work out. We all good. It's nothing, nobody ain't going to know. Nothing is going to happen as long as we on the same page. And let me tell y'all about human behavior.
Right.
It never happens that way.
It never happens.
Somebody aborts the plan the first 3 steps in. You ain't even get to 5.
As soon as
you abort the plan. So one interaction, and then that only takes one interaction, Coach. And then next thing you know, don't throw in no sleeping together. Oh Lord. Lord.
That's if I see you talking to the secretary, I'm giving you and the secretary a side eye now. Because why are you talking to her? We just went out. Why are you talking to the secretary? Why are you kikiing up? Right. So now, and we only went out one time, right? But this is what happens, and I've seen it over time and time again. I've watched women, you know, try to keep it on low key, but sometimes, most of the time, your body language is out of whack, right? Your expressions, you know, you change. So you kind of put 2 and 2 together. But then when you see that third and fourth person, and you be like, oh boy, let me get my cup of coffee. What's going, you know, and everybody meeting up at the copier talking about you and this romance now. And is now with 3-4 other people. So again, that ineffective communication, if you're not talking with each other, if you don't have an agreement, you know, I'm not a fan of the whole work husband, work wife type of deal. I don't play that. And reasons, and I've seen it go down very, very in a toxic way. I'm not a fan of.
Wait a minute. Hold on, coach. Hold on.
You better be glad I got water.
I'm not laughing because it really isn't funny because this stuff can ruin people's lives. And look, what we're seeing with Fannie Willis is one of those extreme. It probably started off innocuous. It probably started off just. And when the question was asked, when the question was asked, did anybody know about? And I'm saying about our sister Fannie. Did anybody know about this in the Fulton County's DA office? And she kind of looked around and was like, no. But of course you got people that know.
You got nosy people everywhere.
Everywhere.
They have seen it. They have witnessed it. There is always somebody watching, right? And we in Atlanta. First of all, everybody knows something. Everybody knows something. Everybody knows something. Okay.
This is in Atlanta. Everybody knows. That's how it was in Baltimore. There is not a place that I knew everybody in Baltimore. So
everybody, like you know what they say, the world really is small because somebody knows something about your situation, right? And I just feel like when it comes to workplace romance, you can happen because I do know some couples who they met at work, and they have very thriving marriages and whatnot. However, again, those conversations have to take place. Boundaries have to be set. And then usually more, a lot of times one person will leave that company, so that it won't become confusing or whatnot. So I do know some couples who have worked together. And so
I know a couple like that too.
Yeah, so it can happen. However, I'm thinking you have to be in that committed relationship. You know what I'm saying? And you have to have an understanding, like this is my boo, and this is the person I'm with, and that's it. Because you do have people on the job who's going to try you in that area. Let's keep it.
Well, here's the other thing. There's a couple of dynamics that you're speaking about, and I think we're going to take a quick pause in 30 seconds. But I want to go back to that point of work wife, work husband. How, as a woman that works in the relationship coaching space, yay or nay? Do you engage in creating those type of relationships? That's my work husband, work wife. Do you even do it?
Nope. Don't do it.
And what's the biggest reason as to why we shouldn't do it, Coach?
Why are you asking to have a work husband when you got a whole husband at the house? Why do you need a work wife when you got a whole wife at the house? Because this is what happens. You're going to talk. You're going to have some, marriages go through things, right? And if you feel comfortable sharing your pillow talk, I call it, you sharing your intimate details with this work person, work romance or whatnot, that person, it's an opportunity for them to come on in. And boom, they're going to be there for you while you're going through your trials and tribulations. I have not yet to see it happen the opposite. Everyone that I've witnessed over time, it has not played out right. And you begin to cross those boundaries because there is nothing set. There is no boundary set. Because again, your spouse, that's the difference between you having your friends, right? Your friends, but that whole work wife and work, because that's a title that for me, I hold sacred. There's no other husband. What do I need a work husband for? You have a best friend or a friend, that's different. But at home, no, we're not going to do that. I'm sorry.
We're not going to do that.
We're not going
to do that.
No.
That we're not, and that because when that situation goes wrong, then we'll have a different conversation about workplace violence.
Exactly. Because yeah. Because
I mean, no. No,
It's
that's
only
not
one
happening.
Miss Green. There's no 2, 3, 4 work Miss Green. No, we're not gonna do that. Because
The crazier part, Coach, the crazy part is when dudes when dudes introduce the woman to the real wife. Yeah, baby, this is like she like the workplace wife.
And we all get that same look like who?
Oh, so that's why you coming home late at night.
Exactly. So you taking her out now? Y'all going to have drinks now? We can't even have date night, but you can have date night with your work wife? No, we're not doing that. You see, that's how the conversation.
It just opens up the door. It opens up the door for too much. Hey, look, man. Hey, look. A lot of that stuff. Let me just tell y'all, man. A lot of that stuff is not even. Don't open up the door, brothers. Don't open up yourself. Do not open yourself up to that. Do not open yourself. All right, look. We got to take a quick pause. When we come back, more from Coach Trinette and from you folks. Folks are checking in as we talk about the romance, workplace romance, and is it worth it, and so much more. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, you're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad, and I'm joined by my sister, Coach Trinette Collier, who is the inspirationalist. She is a life coach, a relationship specialist, talking to us about workplace romance. And we're asking the question, are workplace romances, are they even worth it, folks? And considering that this is the core of the situation with District Attorney Fani Willis, we wanted to have a conversation, and hopefully we have this in a very, very mature way. That's Fannie Willis sitting on the stand for her trial, for her hearing, that could potentially, if it goes bad, she could be disqualified from prosecuting the case against former President Donald Trump, all because of her workplace romance with prosecutor Nathan Wade. Now, this again, folks, is a far extreme situation because she's working on a high-profile case about the former president. Because of the nature of her position, it adds a level of complexity to the case of whether she ethically, and her ethics were questioned, the finances around the case were being questioned on how they're used. So it just opens up a Pandora's box. And Coach, I want to kind of get your take on that we don't. Of course, everybody's not going to have a Fannie Willis, Nathan Wade style, front page news type of relationship. But these workplace romances can be damaging. It can really change the energy of the workplace. It can change your performance. And I want to share with Forbes.com. They did a piece around this. Looking at workplace romance statistics. Folks, they keep statistics on a lot of and everything.
Yeah, they do.
But they did a report from looking at workplace romances, and they show that over 60% of adults have had a workplace romance. Let's look at some of these key takeaways from the report. 57% report workplace relationships have impacted their work performance. 43% have married someone they worked with. So that's pretty high. 35% don't report their relationship to their employer. So that's what Fannie Willis says. She did not say, I'm having this relationship with someone. 40% have cheated on their current partner with a coworker. Wow. And 50% report flirting with their coworkers. I bet you that number is higher, Coach. I bet you that number is higher.
Yeah, that's
I bet you that's something. But that's the number that they put out there. Now let's just share what were the driving forces of workplace romances. Let's share that part. Let me take a look at this, folks. According to the survey from Forbes, they indicated the three most common driving forces behind workplace romances are: 1, comfortability; 2, the lack of time outside work to meet other romantic interests; and 3, the desire for a shared workplace experience. They also say that 65% of respondents indicated that comfortability was the driving force behind workplace romances. The second leading driver is a lack of time. 61% of respondents citing this as a key reason for dating someone at work. They also said that on top of that, while having a shared workplace experience was the leading driving force behind workplace romances, the least popular reason was to make the workday more enjoyable at 38%. So while some people desire the shared experience and perhaps the benefits of fully understanding one's professional life, the goal isn't necessarily to enhance their happiness at work, but to be understood. Woo!
Wow. That's interesting.
And it's interesting. This is very interesting.
Yeah, I can see the comfortability because you're literally gravitating towards somebody of like-mindedness, right? You're at the same job. You're thinking you have the same skill set and so forth. So you're you're gravitating towards that person, which I believe it can happen, and it can be a healthy relationship. Again, it boils back down to those boundaries in that conversation, because what happens and I don't want to just say that it's all women, but just looking back over the workplace romances that I witnessed, it was pretty much the conversation was not clear on the positions in that relationship. So the guy could flirt with pretty much every woman up in the building, but that one or two that were, that they thought they were exclusive, They didn't understand that, hey, this is just a workplace romance, or they thought that they were going to continue, outside.
But wait a minute, hold on though. Here, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
I hear you, but how many? Like you're saying that some women didn't understand the boundaries, right? And I think that's highly important, right?
Yeah.
That's the boundaries, right? But if you're attracted to somebody in the workplace, you're not thinking about setting boundaries. You're actually thinking about breaking them.
You are, but you better set them. You better.
Well,
better.
one side of your head is telling you set these boundaries,
right?
And for men, that one head is telling you to set these boundaries. The other head.
And that's why we get in trouble.
Let me give you my Cat Williams look. The other head is like,
and that's why things go left. Because
I mean seriously, because people lose their jobs, man. Like people lose their jobs. And I think that we also need to say this is outside of your socioeconomic status. This is not like if you have a corporate job, if you have a white collar job. These things are happening whether you're working at a factory, a warehouse, whether you're working in a boardroom, wherever you are. These things come up, right? Attraction happens wherever.
Right. Especially when you have a place where there are a few men, and you have some men up in the building where there's a lot of women, and you find out
where's that?
In my former occupation.
With workers now, you know what? No, now when I think about it, no, wait a minute, hold on. Now I think about it. In the teaching profession, in the schools, let's take a drink.
Yeah, I've witnessed them.
I've seen that
because
I've seen it.
Everybody's trying to sneak around. The conversation is not had. You're thinking because you do things
because it's all fun and games, Coach. It's all fun and games.
It is.
It's like, oh, let's go into let's eat lunch together
until you get that Valentine's Day gram or you at the school dance and you see him just hanging out or just sitting by the concession table or something with that person, and you start to your feelings. I'm trying to tell y'all, you can't do it. You cannot do it. You can do it, but you have to have that honest conversation, which I always go back to. That communication is key. When I say spell it out. Hey, let's just hang out. What do you like doing on Friday night? This is what I need. What is it that you need and want?
Okay, look. I agree with you. I'm sorry, Coach. I'm not. And look, this is real serious, y'all. I'm not trying to make it because people lose their relationships, they break up their homes, they lose their jobs, their source of income. All of that is at stake, right?
Yeah.
As we're seeing with the Fannie Willis situation, there are some very serious consequences when you don't know how to establish those boundaries, and more important, I think they did that in the beginning, right? But when you're going up against an individual like a Donald Trump,
right?
It's who plays very dirty when he's being confronted, right?
Yeah.
So he's going to do whatever he needs to do to win, and I think that's what the situation is that we saw, right, with that particular case.
Yeah.
But there are people in the workplace that are always watching this, especially if you're the type of individual, and I've seen both men and women be this type of individual.
Right.
In one way, you're putting out there, you got this beautiful family, and you got the pictures of the family on the desk, and you know what I'm saying? Even the family, the husband or the wife comes up to see you, and all of this thing. But then on the other hand, you flirting with.
And the misinterpretation, everybody interprets it differently. A lot of times, I've seen it where men are innocently, just giving a compliment or whatnot. And sometimes it's, mistaken for flirting or whatnot. And then again, the feelings get involved. And this is what we don't want to admit. the feelings getting involved, because again, going back to those boundaries were not set in place from the beginning. And like you said, we're thinking, we're attracted to each other, and we're thinking, oh, well, like, I like him, he likes me, vice versa, whatnot. And you don't think about anything else. You're just thinking about that moment. But that moment can really create chaotic moments in the place. And again, you don't know who else this person is talking to or having relations with. And so that's why, like I said, you have to have those candid conversations. And that is the part that we don't want to have. And I'm guilty of that at one point. We don't like to have those conversations because we really don't want to know the truth. We really don't want to hear the truth that this could go.
That's real.
It could go very bad and it depends. Because in her case, I would think that you would have someone on your team to like literally go through your past, go through whatever with a fine-tooth comb and try to patch everything up, like you said, because you're dealing with this individual who's going to come for the blow, in every which way. So let me clean up whatever I need to do. But again, you just have to be careful with these workplace romances. You really do, because, and then on the flip side, you don't know the minds of other people. You understand?
That's the part, Coach.
You don't know the minds of other people. It can be innocent. It can be really, really cool. But when you're ready to break it off, I have literally witnessed that. You say no, and now you have cases of stalking. You have harassment. You have, and this becomes serious, and this is real.
That is real.
And it's not just from the woman; it can be from the man.
No, I get that.
Because the conversation didn't happen the way it needed to be. So again, it can be innocent. It really can, and it can work out. I know some people who, like I said before, they've had workplace romances and they're now happily married or whatnot. But for the most part,
it takes a lot of maturity to handle that.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It takes a lot of maturity, and we got to take another quick pause, but we got to be real that once sex enters the picture, once intimacy enters the picture, the game has changed. Like, we adults here, so we can talk about it like this. Y'all know, once sex and intimacy enters the picture between two people,
that's it.
The game is over, baby. It's different rules. Now you got to establish new rules, right?
Yes.
Because you're working together. So now don't let oh Lord, don't let him put it down. Don't let her put it down. Because then that thing is going to go all around. It's going to be a problem.
Right.
It's going to be a problem.
Start talking.
Hey, look. Wait a minute. Hold on. Look, hey, crew, this ain't confessions. So please don't come in the chat. Y'all want to talk. I mean, y'all want to share. This is y'all story. So, Pauline, I see you, my sister. Pauline said, look, she going to keep it real. Pauline always keeps it real. Pauline Hurt, you said, I've had several workplace relationships. Did not end well.
Listen, that's reality.
Pauline, I hate you, my sister. Hey, keep it real. It don't end well. No, and I'm not saying they always. We're seeing the numbers. It's just, you got to keep it real. Cindy D, you say set your boundaries. Don't have sex, yo. Don't do it. Don't do it. I'm not trying to make light of this because people's lives are taken up. And I'm going to my sister Karen. Thank you, Cindy. Karen, you said another serious problem is the chaos inter-office romance create. There is disruption in the office when the lovers fight. The staff cannot concentrate. It's bad for business.
It is. It is very bad for business.
And this is what we see. Not this part of the inter-office romance in terms of disruptions or fights or anything, but it does cause a disruption. This Fannie Willis situation caused a disruption. And it's interesting that we're not having conversations like this more in the Black community because we know that this stuff is real. Like you can't act as if like we have our thing. And I'm not talking about any other group of people. I'm talking about among black folk, man.
Exactly.
We put our life. I could talk as a man. A dude would put his whole life on the line for that. For that momentary pleasure. He'll put it. If he think he got a shot, he's walking in front of a bus. All I gotta do is survive this bus hitting me, and I can get with you. Bet. Come on down the street, number 9. Take me straight out.
And we have you there. We have you locked in, and your mind all clouded. Everything's clouded. But until something goes, that conversation happens where I don't want to do this anymore, or a new dude comes in. And now that person is flirting with that, you can. It's just
you got a new manager. We gotta look. We gotta take a quick pause. We gotta take a quick pause, folks. We'll continue the conversation on the other side. Get some final remarks from Coach Trinette and you. Stay with us. It's the culture here on the Black Star Network.
Check this out. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are investing a record $7 billion into HBCUs. Billions for campus improvements, grants, and debt relief. Billions more for HBCUs. Endless possibilities for us.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for a Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii. Yo, let me just tell you, let me bring my sister, Coach Trinette. I have some of the funniest group of watchers and supporters. I'm telling you, they are hands down the funniest. Pauline, now this is Pauline Hurts. She said that she's had, several workplace romances, didn't end up well, but she did say, right, Farajii, if it's good, you are mine. Pauline, like, I'm going all out for that thing.
All out.
Hey, we're gonna lose our jobs together.
It's going down, literally. It's going down.
All right, so here's the last part about this whole situation, though. Here's the last part, and look, and again, this is not making light of it, but we really do have to understand, y'all, that these romances can disrupt us in a very, very big way and unexpected ways, right?
Yeah.
And I know that our sister Fannie Willis is kicking herself right now. I know it.
Yeah.
I know it. Look how long she's been on the stand. We've been on the air.
How long?
For over an hour.
Yeah.
And they're just going through. I mean, could you imagine the show?
Being grilled.
And so as much as I'm just looking at the person. I'm not talking about the district attorney.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the person of Fannie Willis and looking at the person of Nathan Wade. Like at the end of the day, they were two people. They were attracted to each other in a workplace setting. They got things together and things started happening. But this is an extreme case because of the role that she plays, the positions that she's in, who she is, and all of those things. and who she's dealing with.
Right.
With former with Trump and his people.
Right.
But these things happen every day in America.
Every day.
Every day in America. And I want to get your take on this, Coach, because Fannie Willis, she is the district attorney. She hired Nathan Wade as a prosecutor. So I want to talk about the power dynamic very quickly, because when you have an individual who is the supervisor and then you have the person that's, for a man, if a man is the supervisor and he flirts with a woman, and that's Nathan Wade, folks.
Oh.
That's Mr. Wade himself.
So now he's on his, okay.
So it looks like, she's been on for more than 2 hours, Fannie Willis. This is some previous footage. I think this is from earlier, right? And I'm just asking my team. He was first. Then Miss Willis came on.
Okay. Now, was he questioned? Was he married during this?
Look, I can't even get into all of that. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't even want. We don't have enough time to figure it out. I don't think he was, but he was separated. He said his wife was cheating on him. Then he filed for one. It gets real. It gets real in the weeds. But my question is, and I know we got a few moments left. How do you speak to the power dynamic? Because if it's a man in power and he's flirting with his subordinate, for lack of a better word, that sets up, and she might be open to it. She might be down with it. She might be like, oh, okay, cool. We can make this thing happen. It don't work out. It ends up, he's married. He like, you know what? I had a lapse in judgment. You know, we got to end this. Now it opens up the door for workplace harassment, sexual harassment of some sort. Talk to us about that dynamic and how it could happen if it's a woman in power and vice versa with a man being her subordinate. How do you address that, Coach?
I honestly would address that by, again, taking I know we don't want people in our business, but for protection, you need to let HR know so that it can be consensual, and so that you all can be on one accord, because you're right. Those types of things, and I don't have experience with, that department, but just basic common sense, because if something goes left, you will have it in writing, like both of us, we consented to this relationship and we knew the effects of it, and we knew what was going to happen and so forth. So you can't come back to me and say, hey, I was sexually harassed because he flirted with you, or whatever the case may be. I'm just that person who, now the times that we're living in, everything needs to be documented. Just for safety, because again, this is real and this happens. It becomes your word against my word, and then you're going through the legal avenues of everything. So that's just how I would handle it if that was the case from day one. It's in black and white who we are with each other, a written note. And I know it may sound easy said than done, but you have to think about protecting yourself, because again, you don't know the minds of the other person you're dealing with, and it doesn't have to be like that, but we just don't know, because we're actually working, we're responding off of we're physically attracted to this person. So you really don't even know this person until you start going out and whatnot. And then it could be like, oh, they're legit. Then it could be like, oh no, let me break it off.
Right.
That sort of thing. So for me, I would just,
and let me just
contract type of person now.
and you know what? And I get that. And I know a lot of people some people rather might be hearing that and say contract, right? Like setting the boundaries. Like I think what you're recommending here is something that's very important that we all probably haven't done, which is to really be intentional about the type of relationship that you want to have. Now, you can fall in love with your coworker. You can have a workplace romance, right? But you have to, I think, from what I'm hearing from you, Coach, you have to be clear about what you're walking into.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You have to be clear. And I think that is part of the draw. It's funny that you mentioned that. I think that's part of the draw. The draw is the fantasy. It's not the reality. When you're talking about contracts and boundaries, that means that you subscribe to a certain reality.
Yeah.
I think part of the driving force that Forbes didn't mention is the fact that it's a fantasy. It's a break from the mundane, the monotonous day-to-day grind. They say that it a little bit in that data, but I'm just saying, like, it feels good.
At that moment, right?
At that moment, somebody is interested in you, and we don't know what's going on in your your household. We don't know what's going on in your marriage and all those things. So you're talking about the human experience, and again, when you're looking at the human experience, it's like, man, somebody is interested in me. They really are showing me attention.
Yeah,
man. I don't know how many women I've heard that say, man, if a man just showed me some attention and feed me, you'd be like, damn, that's it.
And not, don't let the person be like attractive, like like
he's smooth or she's beautiful and she's fine and she's showing you attention, and next thing you know, it's in a situation. All right, we got to close this out. Tiana said, "What feels good ain't always good." Speak for yourself, Tiana. Speak for yourself, sis.
She's right. That's why you got to.
She's absolutely right. She absolutely.
Yourself. Keep them.
That no, you're absolutely right. Frankie said, "I'm picking up my work wife now. I'm trying to stop. Stop it, Frankie. Stop it. Stop it." McCall said, "There is no peach." Y'all see how I'm changing the words. She got more explicit, but there's no peach or eggplant that's good to lose your job, livelihood, and reputation over.
Listen, especially with rent at $2,000 a month, you better.
There's no peach or eggplant that good to lose your job, livelihood, and reputation over. No, ain't that.
None. So
ain't that much.
You have
ain't
to
that
make
much.
a decision. You really do have to make a conscious effort and decision. And like you said earlier, you have to be intentional about your relationships. Bottom line, you have to be.
That's right. That's true.
Intentional about what you want. You know it. And I said it before. If you want to cut, buddy, make that very clear. Clear as glass.
Wait. I hear that a lot of times. There's no.
I'm just saying.
No. Why would you say that at the end when we're trying to wrap up the show? If you just want to cut, women always say, if you just tell me what it is, and then when a man tell you what it is, then a woman be like, he's so damn blunt. I mean, that's just a turn off. He just came out and said it.
See, but I'm hey. Let me get contact with women. That'll be our next show.
How real is too real?
Right.
That's it. You know, with all due seriousness, y'all, we're all due seriousness, and we're looking at this situation again. We should have a judgment on this particular part of this case, and hopefully it works out for our system. But with all due seriousness, we got to have some different conversations about relationships, because I'll never forget hearing a pastor say this: your relationship, the people that you connect with, they have the power to lift you up or break you down.
Yeah.
And if it's to your point, Trinette, if it's all fun and games, it's kind of kept light, it's more casual, then being very clear about that.
Right.
But if you're looking to build with somebody on a very real fundamental level, you got to be clear about that, and don't. And we had this wonderful couple yesterday, Trinette. They've been married for 43 years, Theo and Rita Smith, and you know, just being intentional about what it is that you want. And Sister Rita said, Aunt Riri, she said, don't settle. If a man is coming to you with this type of vibe, like you could be his work wife and on a side chick and the sneaky link and all of those things, if that's not what you're looking for, you don't have to accept it. No matter how fine he is, what them gray pants he wearing, looking what? Oh, he got that gray suit on today, girl. I just know too much about this stuff, man. I need to get off, man. But it's too much. It's too much. It can build you up or break you down. Coach, we're going to look at this situation. You got 30 seconds. What's the final word on this?
Yeah, be clear. That's it. Be clear. Have that conversation. Set the boundaries.
There it is. Coach Trinette, where can they find you, Coach? And she is featured here every Thursday here on The Culture. Where can they find you at?
All social media platforms. I am Trinette L. Collier.
There it is right there. Coach Trinette L. Collier, thank you so much for joining us, sharing your expertise, and more importantly, thank you for being so good for the culture. Thank you. All right, folks, that's going to do it for me. We are still going to keep our eyes on the situation with our sister Fannie Willis down in Georgia. As I mentioned earlier, make sure y'all tune into Roland Martin Unfiltered. I'm sure they're going to have a lot of analysis and conversation about what's been happening. She's been on the stand for over 2 hours, and she's been going through some very, very hard details about the relationship she's had with Mr. Nathan Wade. So we'll talk more about that on Roland Martin Unfiltered. And of course, tomorrow, once we have a better sense of what the judgment will be and whether she will stay on the case or not against former President Donald Trump, we'll talk about that as well. Make sure y'all do your due diligence. Make sure y'all support us here at Black Star Network. If you enjoyed the conversation, you like how we are bringing these discussions up, make sure you go to our website, blackstarnetwork.com, download the app for free, follow us on social media, and more importantly, we ask for your financial support to have you as one of our great investors and stakeholders. Also, while you're online, make sure you follow me at The Real Farajii on Instagram. I need more followers to continue to build the community. And you can follow me on the X platform at Farajii. That's going to do it for me. As always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong, stand for what's right, while being yourself in the process. God willing, we'll talk tomorrow for another exciting edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Thank you, crew. Peace.